Right now, business leaders are slamming some Ivy League schools, saying they're not speaking out loudly enough against clear anti-Semitism. Apollo Global Management CEO Mark Rowan wants some leaders at the University of Pennsylvania to hit the bricks, pointing to a Palestinian literary festival that the school held last month. Rowan wrote that the festival featured, quote, well-known anti-Semites and fomenters of hate and racism. In a statement last month, the school said they unequivocally and emphatically condemn anti-Semitism, but that it fiercely supports the free exchange of ideas. Back with me tonight, former Florida Congressman Ted Deutsch. He is now the CEO of the American Jewish Committee. Ted, what do you think of this?
Well, I think that the universities across the country need to do a better job of tackling anti-Semitism. And there'll be time to revisit that specific issue. But, and Stephanie, right at this moment, there are events taking place on college campuses of students standing in support of Hamas terrorists. The guide that was produced for the student groups behind this spoke openly about a war for liberation. They're standing on the side of terrorists who slaughtered over 1,200 Israelis, injured more than 3,000, and included in those numbers are Americans. There are 27 U.S. citizens who were killed. There are 14 more, at least, who are being held hostage. That has an impact on the Jewish community. And when students run around campus screaming Hamas, 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 as was the case just earlier today, that causes students, that puts students at risk. It leads to the kinds of assaults like the one we saw at Columbia already this week. That's why we're taking anti-Semitism so seriously.
Why do you think this is happening? Why are there so many young people conflating this or for some insane reason supporting a known terror group?
Well, obviously, there's no good answer for that. I can't tell you. I will tell you, though, that as long as it's happening on college campuses, it doesn't help when there are guests invited onto network newscasts. I know not yours, but cable newscasts. Just earlier today on your network, I mean, giving voice to someone who comes on and describes Hamas as just a nonviolent resistance, as a political party, as a governing party, as saying that they're being portrayed as fanatical terrorists when obviously they're not. Well, that doesn't help either. These are fanatical terrorists. They did commit the heinous crimes. You've done such a good job giving voice, Stephanie, to Israeli families who have lost loved ones, whose loved ones are missing, who are praying every moment for them to return. Families who have multiple generations showing up to do reserve duty to defend their country, to go take on these vile terrorists, and to make sure that Gaza no longer serves as the terror base from which these kinds of awful, brutal attacks are launched. It's important for everyone to recognize that this is not a time for either Israel or Hamas. This is a time for everyone to stand on the side of what's right, on the side of humanity, and to stand firmly against terrorism. There's no good reason, zero, for anyone to support that. And in fact, what's really frustrating is that Hamas, the suggestion is that this is somehow about peace. Hamas doesn't care about peace, they care about war. Their charter says that they exist to make war, to get rid of Israel, to slaughter Jews. They take the poor Palestinians in Gaza and put them in harm's way intentionally because they think the deaths of Palestinians will help their cause. It's a sick terror group that nobody should support. That's why everyone is so concerned about universities that are seeing student groups that support this horrific terror.
Let's talk about what's happening tomorrow. A former Hamas leader called for a day of anger. How worried are you about that?
Well, of course we're worried. The fact that today on over 20 college campuses around the country, we saw, as I said, these kinds of protests in support of Hamas, in support of terrorists. and they did so using all of the language that terrorists use, all of the Hamas language that's being used as Hamas leaders talk about tomorrow and what they're calling for. Look, the Jewish community will be vigilant. Fortunately, law enforcement is monitoring the situation very carefully. The government is committed, law enforcement is committed, decent people around the country, which is the overwhelming majority of us, are committed to making sure that there is safety in this country and safety for the Jewish community and safety overall. Because remember, Hamas doesn't, when they talk about the kinds of actions they're taking, it puts the community, not just the Jewish community, but the broader community at risk. So we're all working together. We're making sure that we're taking this seriously. We're making sure that the community is going to stay safe. But it's awful that in 2023, the combination of groups who are supporting terrorists in America and terrorists from outside America making threats leads to some synagogues across the country considering whether or not they can open for weekly Shabbat services. That's an awful, awful statement. That's why we all need to continue to come together, support one another, and support from the broader community for the Jewish community has never been more important than it is at this moment.
And reminder, as you head into the weekend, if someone says to you, this is about failed Israeli policies, you could talk about failed Israeli policies in a week, in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks. Hamas has had in their charter for decades that it is a goal to eradicate Jews. Please remember
35 years.
Ted,
35 years in writing. That's why they exist. How can anybody support that?